So I'm going to start with the very first part of the pseudocode for variables and constants from the specification. So I'm just going to look at this section here, and in fact I'm going to really cut it short and just look at these two items here with variables. So I'll explain them. So I've repeated that in your folder so that you can read the specification as we go along. And I'm going to show you how to set a variable using a flowchart. So if I hop back over to my flowcharting, I click on the line and delete it. Now I'm going to use a process box. So drag it out, and that is a process box. And the idea of a process box really is it does one thing, one line of code, that's all. So if I wanted to set x equal to 3, I would just do set x to 3. I could have written x equals 3, that is just as good, but I think using this is a clarification of what you're doing. And it's quite useful to use the word set in this context. So I'm now going to join up those items. So I now have a program. And there we go. It doesn't do a lot, it just sets x to 3. Now if I was writing that in pseudocode, I'm going to use Notepad++ to write the pseudocode. I was thinking of actually doing it on paper with an external video, but that might be a bit too much just for some simple programming. I will return to that when we do things like for loops and while loops, etc. So if I just save this as pseudocode.txt, so it's a basic text file. It's never going to run in a program. I'm not going to use it in a program. I'm just using it to show you how to write out the pseudocode. So if I'm going to do set x to 3, the pseudocode would be x is equal to 3. 3 is a number, and that's all it is. It's an integer. It's not a float, it's just a straightforward number. And that is my pseudocode for this diagram. So I've got a start, I've got a set x to 3, and I've got an end all there. So start, there's nothing, x equals 3, and then an end. So that's the pseudocode. So if I was to program that in Python, let's get Python up, and I will program in Python because that's what we program in the videos, but I will also do these in the other languages, but you'll need to click on the links to view them in the other languages. So let's go back to my first.py, and I can just write x equals 3. I can save that, and that's it. So actually at this stage my pseudocode matches my Python exactly. Now I can run that, nothing will happen because I'm not printing anything out, but I haven't got an error. Python works nicely. So just going to finish off with a little piece of information about variable names. The variable name, in this case x, is called an identifier. And identifiers, so let's do that in here. X is the identifier. Identifiers. Now they have rules in different programming languages on how long they can be or what character they can start off with, but they're pretty much the same. And I have got some very specific rules which you're already aware of. They must be camel case. Again, I'll give you an example of camel case where the first letter is lowercase and the second word is made uppercase. I've done that because later on we're going to be talking about constants and global variables, and I'm going to change my rules for identifiers when I come to that. So really I need to write variable identifiers have rules. Camel case and cannot start with a number. So I can't say 1x equals 3, that would be wrong, but I can have x1 equals 3, that is okay, because it does not start with a number, it starts with a letter, and it can contain numbers, but they must not be the first character. Cannot contain spaces. So, for example, let's go through it again. 1 space x equals 3 is wrong for two reasons. One, it starts with a number. Secondly, it contains a space. X space 1 equals 3 is also wrong because it contains a space, although it starts off with a letter, which is fine. It's got a space, that is not allowed. So for example, if I got a larger variable like camel case, camel space case is wrong because it's got a space. Well, let's put equals 3 is wrong. It's pasted in my last version. It is wrong. And camel case equals 3 is okay because there's no space in it. Now, camel case with a lowercase c, I'm going to say is also wrong. Okay, so if I see your work with a lowercase c there, I will mark it as wrong. Although it is not wrong, it will run. But as variable identifiers have rules, so do I, and that's what I'm looking for. So that is the start of variables. That is the program which matches the flowchart. Start, there's nothing there. Set x equal to 3, job done. And then end, and that is the end of my program. So that is my first look at a variable in flowchart, pseudocode, and Python.